Ever since 2023, fans have been waiting with insane patience for the next chapter of the Spider-Verse franchise, Beyond the Spider-Verse, after that jaw-dropping finale in Across, where Miles ends up trapped in an alternate reality. Everyone was left on edge. In that world, Miles finds himself face-to-face with a darker variant of himself, easily one of the most shocking twists we've seen in superhero movies in years. For me personally, that was a total mouth-wide-open moment. I usually avoid trailers and spoilers, so getting hit with that reveal right there in the theater was a genuine surprise, and that's exactly why Beyond the Spider-Verse instantly became one of my most anticipated movies of 2027. Of course, it's been a rocky road getting there. The film has faced multiple delays since it was originally set to drop in March 2024, but honestly, we all get it. A project of this scale needs time. Animation, especially at the level Sony has established, is an insanely complex process. Unlike live action, where you can shoot a full scene in a day, here every single frame has to be crafted by hand. Even quiet, non-action moments take an enormous amount of time, precision, and artistic effort. Still, the story of Miles is moving forward. Several actors have confirmed that voice work is actively happening. For example, Greta Lee, who voices Lila, Miguel's AI assistant, recently mentioned during a Tron Ari's interview that she actually recorded her lines over a year ago, way before the latest delays. That's a pretty important detail because it shows the script and structure of the movie have been locked in for a while. The holdup isn't the story, it's the production. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller have said multiple times that Miles' arc was carefully planned from start to finish, so the narrative is solid and complete. The real issue started when, in early 2024, several key artists left Sony Animation citing brutal working hours and burnout. That obviously slowed things down. There haven't been any official statements about it, but people in the industry have talked about it quite a bit. And yeah, fans don't really care about behind-the-scenes drama. They just want the movie. But it's worth remembering that Spider-Verse isn't just another animated film. It's a full-blown artistic revolution. Every scene is crafted with care, every shot feels like a painting, and every style choice is deliberate. So yeah, the delays are frustrating, but I'm personally fine with it. I'd rather Sony take their time than rush something unfinished. Beyond needs to feel like a true finale. Emotional, visually stunning, and a worthy ending to Miles' arc. The release date is finally starting to look more certain, but when it comes to the story itself, at first glance, it might seem like everything will unfold in a straightforward, predictable way. Though let's be honest, with Phil Lord and Chris Miller in charge, there's no way this finale is going to play it safe. Twists and surprises are practically their trademark, and that's exactly what makes the Spider-Verse movies so special. Just think about how Across wrapped up. The way the writers pulled the trigger on that Chekhov's gun they'd been hanging since the first movie was absolutely brilliant. Back in Into the Spider-Verse, a lot of details seemed small, like background touches or random gags. But in Across, those same details came back with real impact and meaning. That's the mark of tight, smart storytelling. Even the reveal that the spider that bit Miles came from Earth 42, that wasn't just a plot twist. That was straight up narrative poetry. And take the Spot for example. Easily one of the weirdest and most underrated villains in Spidey's rogue gallery. But Lord and Miller completely reimagined him, turning this clumsy scientist into a full-blown multiversal threat. The whole bagel effect thing, his origin, his connection to the portal accident, and to Miles himself. It's all such a wild but perfectly thought out idea. On paper it sounds crazy, but in the movie it just clicks. Every scene, every frame, every tiny thread ends up fitting into this massive, interconnected puzzle. That's what I love most about the Spider-Verse movies. They're not just visually groundbreaking, they're narratively airtight. There's nothing random. Everything pays off eventually. And if Beyond really ends up being the final chapter in Miles' story, with no spin-offs or forced continuations, I'll honestly be happy. Let it end with a full stop, not a comma. A trilogy that ends at its emotional and creative peak could easily go down as one of the best, not just in animation, but in all of superhero genre. Sony is holding what might be the greatest comic book trilogy ever made, one where each entry tops the last in style, heart, and sheer visual ambition. The animation of Spider-Verse changed the entire industry. After it dropped, every studio suddenly wanted their own unique visual language. The storytelling setups, the callbacks, the art direction, the experimental animation, all of it turned Spider-Verse into more than just a series. It became a cultural phenomenon, Sure, it sucks that the movie got delayed again, but honestly, 2027 doesn't feel that far away. Time flies, and if waiting a little longer means we'll get the perfect ending, I'm all for it. As long as Beyond delivers that final note, something powerful, emotional, and definitive, it'll be worth every second of the wait. When it comes to the cast and production, the only real hiccup Spider-Verse faced was a staff turnover. A few key animators left the project, but honestly, that kind of thing has happened before. Aside from those internal moves, production has been smooth. All the main actors are confirmed for the third movie, and without them, Spider-Verse just wouldn't be the same. Haley Steinfeld has been recording additional lines for Gwen, scenes that didn't make it into Across. That could mean we're seeing cut material from the second movie finally finding its way into the sequel. Gwen might get more personal moments, more emotional beats. Shameik Moore is officially back as original Miles and actively recording, and Oscar Isaac returns as Miguel. The cast is fully invested, there are no half measures here. Even Brian Tyree Henry, who voices Jefferson Davis, recently said this is the project he's most excited about. He even hinted his character could play a pivotal role in the trilogy's finale. Makes sense, since one of Miles' main goals in the third movie is to save his dad without breaking the multiverse. All this is set against the backdrop of conflict with Miguel and the Spider Society. Miguel is still hunting Miles, but comic fans know he's not a villain. He's more of an anti-hero, driven by fear and duty. He genuinely believes he's keeping the multiverse stable, even if he doesn't fully understand how it works. In Across, we only saw the Spider-Verse from Miguel's perspective. We didn't get the full picture, how the Earth actually functions, who's in control, and where the line between order and chaos lies. Chances are that theme will be front and center in the third film. Gwen's dad stepped down as captain and just walked away, and that might be a key clue to bigger picture multiversal mechanics. It's clear that many of Miguel's researches isn't entirely accurate. Gwen, her dad, and Earth-42 show that realities don't just disappear like he claims. The system isn't fragile. The conflict between Miles and Miguel over canon events isn't just a hero versus hero fight. It's a clash of philosophies, two approaches to fate itself. And that's why the story feels so deep, so rich, and so satisfying. Millions of universes mean millions of possible outcomes, and not every deviation leads to disaster. Miles might be the one to challenge Miguel's rigid rules, proving the multiverse isn't as fragile as it seems. And of course, there's the Spot. He transformed from a goofy villain into one of the most dangerous forces in the Spider-Verse. His ability to cut through universes has already let him slip into the Lego and even the Venom universe. That makes him a true multiversal threat. If he fully masters his powers, the stakes could be catastrophic. So the third film's story is shaping up to be dense, conflict-driven, and emotionally heavy. Miles, Gwen, Miguel, and the Spot. All these threads are converging. If Sony gets the balance right, this finale could be more than just the end of a trilogy. It could be one of the best conclusions in superhero movie history. According to some unconfirmed reports, in the third act of Beyond, he might start pulling villains and dark versions of Spider-Men from different universes, basically building an army of evil spiders. In response, the Spider Society is said to unite to take them on. If that's true, we could be looking at a massive showdown between a light and a dark universe. On a multiversal scale, it could be an epic battle featuring dozens of alternate versions of heroes and villains we already know. Imagine how insane that would look. Even as a rumor, the idea is bold and makes waiting for 2027 even more excruciating. Another key detail is Earth-42's Miles. He's reportedly not a villain. Yes, he'll clash with the original Miles, a symbolic clash of two destinies, but they'll most likely team up in the end. Don't expect Prowler Miles to suddenly turn into a hero either. He grew up in a dark, crime-ridden reality with no Spider-Man and no order, just chaos. Earth-42 is more like Gotham than New York. This Miles is a product of his environment, a survivor without ideals, but with his own sense of justice intact. That contrast is what makes their meeting so powerful. OG Miles will see an alternate version of himself, who he could have become without his dad, without support, without his Spider-Man destiny. That realization could end up being one of the emotional peaks of the finale. As for the ending, it's wide open. It's unlikely either Miles or his dad dies. Chances are he'll save Jefferson and the multiverse will survive. But there could still be sacrifices. The writers love symbolism, so Miguel might give himself up to save others and maybe find some closure with his family. That kind of ending would feel both tragic and earned given his journey. The death of a key character, like Gwen or Peter, is also possible. If the creators really want to put a definitive full stop on the trilogy, the emotional stakes have to be high. Everything points to Beyond the Spider-Verse being a massive, mature conclusion to Miles' story. Conflicts of ideas, internal struggles, collisions between worlds, and even versions of yourself. It's shaping up to be more than just a sequel. This is the finale of one of the best animated sagas of the decade. And honestly, waiting until 2027 doesn't feel so bad anymore. After everything we've seen, this finale is definitely worth it.